Hello guys and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. Now for this video I'm going to give you my reaction and my opinion of Frank Lampard becoming the new Chelsea manager. This is going to start a new series that I'm going to call the Football Debate Show. So for the first episode, being a Chelsea fan myself, how fitting would it be that I talk about why I think, in my opinion, that Frank Lampard will be a success at Chelsea, but in the long run. So, the news came just today. Frank Lampard is the new Chelsea manager, replacing Maurizio Sarri, who was only manager for the 2018-19 season. Now, before I talk about Lampard, let's quickly talk about Maurizio Sarri and what he achieved. So, Maurizio Sarri came in from Napoli. He had a very good season with Napoli, who were pushing Juventus all the way to the Serie A title. He, at the time, fans were saying that he had a very exciting style of football. Chelsea were excited from this, hence they sacked Antonio Conte, which I still don't agree with. They got Maurizio Sarri in, which I didn't mind the appointment, but a lot of fans did. A lot of fans were very negative on his appointment. They weren't sure about him because he practically won nothing as a manager. And our expectation has grown since Abramovich has taken over us as an over. We expect to win a trophy every season and to get top 4 minimum. Now, the style of football Mr. Sarri played is very different from our usual defensive style. I mean, look back at Conte, we had 5 at the back as our main system, and it worked in 2016-17 since we won the Premier League. We played a more attacking style of football, a more passive kind of football, which in a way, it's good dominating teams, but what was the problem with us? We never had a clinical striker to get the goals that were in response to Sarri ball. So, despite how dominant we would be, like getting 80+% possession, we'd only have about 3 shots on target, and then if we were to have an opposition play on the counter-attack and have 3 versus 1, they'll win by the odd goal. So, it didn't solve Chelsea. It worked at the start. I mean, for the first 4 months or so, we were unbeaten. It was only from the Spurs game where we lost 3-1 where things started to rattle. Fans would not get happy with Sarri at all. They were chanting at him and, he's saying he got used to it. And I felt sorry for Sarri in the end because he almost felt like he was forced out the club. He got Chelsea to 3rd place, our highest league position since winning the title, and we got a Europa League title. Not even from a penalty shootout. We did it in some style as well, being Arsenal 4-1. So I felt like even though he was kind of forced out of the club, we say he wasn't sacked at all. He's joined Juventus, but let's be fair, I think with the way Chelsea fans were chanting at him, he was going to go, even though he wasn't going to have a job at Juventus. I'm happy for him, but I'm happy for this opportunity now. Frank Lampard has come in with only 1 year of management. He's managed 1 year at the Championship club Derby County, led them to the playoff final, which I would say they were a bit unlucky not to win in that game, and he's now joined Chelsea. The reason I think this is kind of right, because there's not a big expectation about Chelsea. I think fans are starting to realise that, we've lost Hazard, we're in a transfer ban, we're not going to have as strong a season as we normally have. What this should do for Lampard, he'll have time to bring the youth players, which he made at his own at Derby County, the likes of Mason Mount. He's almost certainly going to come in at Chelsea. Maybe Tomori as well. He might stay at Derby, I'm hearing, but he could also join Chelsea. He may encourage more of the youth to play more games for the likes of Hudson-Odoi and Ruben Loftus-Cheek. In terms of the fans, that is what they wanted. They wanted more youth to play. And I think we'll definitely get that in Frank Lampard, and especially from his assistant coach, who was the under-18s manager for Chelsea. He managed to lead them for 3 consecutive UEFA Cup finals. So he in particular is going to have a lot of inspiration of bringing you forward. And in fact, I saw an interview with him when he was on Sky Sports the other day, and I think what he said really spoke about the volumes and the disconnect between youth and the Chelsea first team. He basically said that, even though they are really closely working together, some managers just did not care about the youth. They wanted their players that they know that they were experienced and good. They didn't think about trying to bring you forward because, you know, they weren't sure. But I think Frank Lampard and Jody Morris, sorry. I think Frank Lampard and Jody Morris are going to help that. I think Frank Lampard, I don't know how well he's going to be, and in fact I'm going to leave a few poll questions up there, and I think the first one I'm going to ask is Frank Lampard the right choice? In my opinion, yes it is. You know, I think the majority of the fans at the moment saying we're happy to see Lampard back. You know, he's a Chelsea legend, scored the most goals for us. He's my younger brother's favourite Chelsea player. He's, I think, definitely my top 3 favourite players. And, you know, now he's in management, you know, he's already got the respect. I mean, I know he's managed at Derby County, but even though he still played Premier League opposition in FA Cup and League Cup games, he knocked out Manchester United on penalties. He was so close making Chelsea go to extra time in the League Cup. He narrowly lost 3-2, where I say he was a bit unlucky to lose that game, honestly. He also beat Southampton as well on penalties. So he's played quite a few Premier League teams. So he's not quite out of his depth as yet, but it's just the brutality of playing real top teams like the Manchester Uniteds, the Manchester Cities, the Liverpools, all of those that are probably going to really test Lampard. And even though if we don't get top 4 or even top 6, I think he'll have a good season. So this is the next part of the question. So where do I think Frank Lampard's going to finish? It's hard to say, really. You know, the fact we've lost Hazard already, who contributed to pretty much over half of our goals. That we've lost him, and I'm glad with the amount of money we got from him in the end. You know, when I first looked, I thought it was about 80 million. I thought, okay, come on. If Philip Coutinho's over 100 mil, he's definitely over 100 mil. And we did get him for like 160 mil, I think that's the number we got from him in the end. I'm happy he's been sold for that much. We got Kovacic permanently at Chelsea now for 40 something mil. I'm happy with that. Some fans weren't too keen on him. I actually really rate this guy. I think he's had a couple of good games for us. And of course, we also now have Christian Pulisic as part of Chelsea. Obviously, he could not join back when we signed him in January, but he can join us now, and already he's shown, like in his international games, how important he is. I mean, he scored a brace for USA to get them into the final. He could be someone who could replace Hazard. He's really young. He's in his early 20s, so he could be one of the rising stars of the Premier League if he's given the service. And I think that's why I think Frank Lampard is perfect for a player like him at the moment. He's going to want to bring youth. He's going to want to inspire more youth into it, but of course he's going to use the main talented players as well. I think he'll get the balance right. I don't think he'll actually get as far in cup competitions. I think his intention is going to focus more on the Premier League and the Champions League. I just have a think, because with Derby County, you know, he made it clear we're going to win every game. And he might say the same thing with Chelsea as well. But realistically, I can see him focusing really hard on the Premier League and the Champions League. Like, even if we get knocked out first round of League Cup and FA Cup, I'm not going to mind. Because honestly, I'm not going to set any expectations for Lampard, because I'm already anticipating we're going to struggle. We've got a transfer ban and no Hazard. Just from that, we're going to struggle. Callum Hudson-Odoi is still going to be injured. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is still going to be injured. So it doesn't sound good on paper, but I'm glad we've got someone like Lampard who's going to be respected by fans, and we're not going to have like a high-profile manager, someone like Allegri, who's going to get given a lot of high expectations with obviously what good he's done with Juventus. So Frank Lampard becoming Chelsea manager is really interesting, because he's the first English manager we've had since Glenn Hoddle all the way back in the 90s. If I remember at the time, in one of his last seasons in charge, we were like in the bottom half of the table, like fighting out for relegation. And since then, you know, Abramovich has taken over. We've had Jose Mourinho for 2 stints. We've had Philip Scolari. We've had Carlo Ancelotti, which I am still angry to this day we sacked him. He should have stayed a lot longer at Chelsea. The fact he got sacked for finishing second place is just an outrage. We've got Andre Villas-Boas, which didn't quite work out. We've got Rafael Benitez as well, which, to be fair, he wasn't all that popular, but he did give us the Europa League trophy. Gus Hiddink twice, you know, when Chelsea were stuttering, struggling to find a new manager. He was good as a coach. We also had Conte, as I said, and then Sarri. But one manager I deliberately missed out to focus a lot on is Roberto Di Matteo. He is the last manager we had that used to be a Chelsea player. Roberto Di Matteo was a great player like back in the 80s or 90s. At the time, he was also managing a championship club, West Bromwich Albion. Now, unlike Lampard, he got West Brom promoted in second into the Premier League. However, he actually played West Brom in his first Premier League game and battered them 6-0. And since then, Roberto Di Matteo, even though collecting one Manager of the Month award, he really struggled to get West Brom stabilised in the Premier League. He was sacked, and I think at that time we sacked Villas-Boas, I think. Roberto Di Matteo took over Chelsea, which at the time divided opinion, we weren't sure. But this was the guy that managed to beat Barcelona in the semi-final of the Champions League and to beat Bayern Munich in our own backyard to win our first and probably only Champions League. Like, that's the last time a former Chelsea player managed us. So, I can't lie but feel good that we have Frank Lampard now managing us. Would I think Frank Lampard would take us to this level? It's really, really hard to say. We don't know what he's going to be like. So with Roberto Di Matteo being the last former Chelsea player becoming the manager, achieving that much, who's to say Frank Lampard can't do the same? Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. This is the first and maybe many of the debate shows. If any of you have any other ideas of debates for me to talk about, I mean, I could probably make a debate about Alex Morgan with the tea celebration. That could be something well worth discussing. But if you've got any other ideas, like in the Championship or even elsewhere, like the whole Neymar situation at the moment, with Argentina getting knocked out of the Copa America, these are all points which I'm happy to talk about. If you want me to talk about that, just let me know in the comments down below. And also, let me know your opinion of Frank Lampard becoming the Chelsea manager. I'll be very interested to hear your guys' opinions. I've got a couple new series that I'm working on, including 30 fixtures, 30 reviews. This is going to be a new series starting around mid-August when football starts again. And I'm also going to release some predictions on the Championship and the Premier League, which will all be coming up soon. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it through the whole video to now, you guys are legendary. So, this is my first video and hopefully more of them to come. And as I said for the final time, thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck, Frank Lampard, and take care.